In this video, we're going to look at evaluating an integral using trig substitution that involves the sine function. So we're being asked to evaluate the antiderivative of du over u times the square root of 5 minus u squared. So again, since we have constant minus variable squared, we should be looking at the sine function for our trig substitution. Of course, remember the trig identity we're trying to use is 1 minus sine squared theta. So we need something so that we can factor off a 5 at the end. So in order to make a 5 after we square, we need to put a square root of 5 in front of that sine function. So we'll let u equal square root of 5 sine theta. So then this should be a du rather than a dt. That's just a typo. Square root of 5 cosine theta d theta. Alright, so now making our substitutions, the du becomes root 5 cosine theta d theta, so we can put that on top. On bottom, we'll have square root of 5 sine theta going in for u in each place. And again, as I mentioned, when we square that square root of 5 sine theta, we get 5 sine squared theta. We can factor out a 5, which leaves us with 1 minus sine squared theta. So when we take the square root, we'll be doing the square root of 5 cosine squared theta. So we'll have a square root of 5, which we can pop out in front. Square root of cosine squared is just cosine. With a cosine in both the numerator and the denominator, we can cancel those. We're left with 1 over sine, or better known as cosecant theta d theta. Rationalizing the denominator over on the outside, that's where the root 5 over 5 comes from. You could leave it as 1 over root 5. There's nothing wrong with that. Alright, antiderivative for cosecant theta is natural log of cosecant theta minus cotangent theta. And now we need to undo the trig substitution. So going back to the original here, solve for sine theta, we get u over root 5 equals sine theta. So I can label the opposite side as u, and the hypotenuse is root 5. Solving for the adjacent side, we'll get root 5 minus u squared. Cosecant is 1 over sine, so in for cosecant, we'll put root 5 over u. And in for cotangent, it's adjacent over opposite, so we'll put root 5 minus u squared over u. So our final antiderivative here will be root 5 over 5, natural log of the absolute value of root 5 over u, minus root 5 minus u squared over u, plus c.